All right, Bellringer fans, it's Thrashing Thursday. It's Hockey Jersey Thursday. You can see I'm wearing a hockey jersey. Oh wait, I filmed this yesterday. But today I'm wearing a hockey jersey, like I will every Thursday through the NHL season and the playoffs, to celebrate hockey and the National Hockey League and all things hockey, because I love hockey, and especially the New Jersey Devils. They're my favorite team. They've always been my favorite team. They always will be my favorite team, and they're gonna win the Stanley Cup this year. Maybe. All right, let's see the bell. All right. Hey now.
Mr. Kovacs class. It's Mr. Kovacs class.
You might learn a ton.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
It's interesting too.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
And he's super cool.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
All right, so by now you know the four main biochemicals, because you know they're monomers and they're polymers, right? Monomer is one, polymer is many put together, right? Of course, you know, like glucose is a monomer. The polymer is, right, carbohydrates. Or how about for lipids? Lipids are the polymer. What's the monomer? That's right, fatty acids. And of course, we have protein. Protein, the monomers are, right, the polymer is protein, the monomers are amino acids. And then finally, if you have the monomers, which are nucleotides, you get the polymers, which are nucleic acids. Good, you guys are getting this really well. All right, now we're gonna make things a little more complicated. Let's talk about carbs. Hey, Mr. Potato Head, what do you know about carbs? Well, I know a lot about carbs. I'm made up of almost all carbs. I'm made up of complex carbohydrates called starches. Carbs come in all different shapes and sizes. And let's talk about carbohydrates. Remember what their monomers are? That's right, glucose molecules. But it'll get a little more confusing than that. Right? Anything starchy or sweet is usually a carbohydrate. And what's the purpose of carbohydrates? They are energy storage molecules. They store quick energy, which is easy to convert into cellular energy, or ATP, which we'll get into later. Carbohydrates. You need to eat carbs in order to get quick energy to your cells. Okay? Now, glucose is the monomer, but there are actually a couple other monomers of carbohydrates. So we call the monomers are called monosaccharides. Monosaccharides, the most common of which is glucose. Monosaccharides, right? Fructose is another example. You put two monosaccharides together, you get a disaccharide. Table sugar is basically a molecule of glucose stuck with a molecule of fructose, and you get a molecule of table sugar, or sucrose. And then when you put many glucoses and fructoses together, you get a polysaccharide, which we call either a starch or a fiber, like cellulose. I'm starting to see a pattern. Cellulose, sucrose, fructose, glucose, fructose, sucrose, cellulose. Yeah, most carbohydrates, their names end in OSE, OS. So we call the sugary things, the sweet things, we call them simple carbohydrates. Those are the monosaccharides and the disaccharides and the polysaccharides that are pretty short chain. So unless you start adding more glucose to the chain, it gets less sweet and more starchy, right? Complex carbohydrates. The complex carbohydrates we eat, we call starches. Okay? We also eat what are called fibers, which are complex carbs. What makes a fiber different than a starch is that we can't digest fiber. Fiber passes through. Okay? It's actually a really good thing to put through your digestive system. Kind of high fiber will, especially your colon, will kind of clean out dead and decaying cells and stuff like that. And yeah, it'll thicken up your stool and you'll be feeling groovy, really regular. Some fiber. Now, how do you make the carbohydrates? You've got to put monomers together. And the way we put monomers together is this little trick we call dehydration synthesis. Dehydration, that means remove water, we'll stick the two molecules together. If you keep on removing water, you'll stick more and more molecules together. So yeah, dehydration synthesis is how we put together polymers from monomers. In this case, is how we put together polysaccharides from monosaccharides, or if you want to think of it, it's how we put together carbohydrates from glucoses. The opposite of dehydration synthesis is called hydrolysis. Hydrolysis. This is how you break a polymer down. This is what we do in our digestive system. We take long chains, like here's a complex carbohydrate, and we add water to it, and that helps to break the bond between the glucose molecules. And we're able to break complex carbohydrates into simple carbohydrates and then ultimately into glucoses. It's called hydrolysis or hydrolysis. 2 more words you need to know. It's like every day we need to learn something new. What do you know? Go figure. It's school. Dehydration synthesis is putting together with water. Hydrolysis is splitting apart using water. Dehydration synthesis, hydrolysis. Synthesize, hydrolyze. Synthesize, hydrolyze. Make it, break it.